All right, this is just a random bonus episode, not a or random bonus live stream, not an actual episode. I'll put it up on YouTube whenever my suspension ends on Sunday or Monday. I've never had a tweet go viral, and I don't know if that's what you would consider this, but it's the closest damn thing I'm probably ever going to get to a viral tweet. So I wanted to look at some of the quote tweets and respond to some of the things that are being said in this thing because uh, basically because I'm not going to take the time to go through and respond to each of them individually. It's just too fucking much. So the tweet, as you can see, borders are just, and I think it's, I think it's fucking insane that this thing has over 16,000 likes, 3,000, pushing 3,200 retweets and 106 quote tweets. Like for something that was just a screenshot of somebody else's tweet and me adding commentary on it. It's, the world of social media is fucking insane. But anyway, as you can see, for those who are looking at it or have looked at it, I said borders are just imaginary lines that don't exist in nature. Nature. And then it shows this really cool map of GPS tracking on 6 wolf packs show how much they avoid and respect each other's territory. Somewhere you got a stray that wandered off through a bunch of territories right through here, which is pretty cool and funny. Anyway, we're going to pull up the quote tweets, and some of these are, and I might look at some of the comments as well. And some of these just like they strike me as very spurgy, and I like to address the spurg. So let's just hit it. I do like all the piss references though. It's fucking hilarious. For this very reason, I piss along all my territory just like a wolf. Need to get people to urinate along the southern border. Problem solved. NPCs will tell you it's because wolves are fascist. Let's see. Old yellow rat balls of steel. This is pretty accurate. The amount of violence that occurred for these borders to be said is on par for the course. That's the thing. Is a bunch of people, and I'm sure I'll get to this as we go through it. But there are a number of tweets that are comments that say, well, they're more civilized than we are, or private property, and so on and so forth. Oh, we're getting to it. It's one of them is talks about how I'm sure if they cross those borders, then somebody puts them in a holding cell and sends them back. It's like, no, if they cross the borders, they get fucking killed. Like that's the way nature tends to work. And there are a lot of people who talk about the chimpanzee wars, like chimps and other apes set up have very strict borders that they kind of adhere to, and they go to war over those territories and those borders. And I'm going to get into kind of like the point of this for me at least eventually. But I'm going to look through some of the quote tweets as we go. Actually, I'm going to blow this up a little bit so we get a slightly better view. There we go. That's more like it. I know Clyde always complains that he can't see anything I put on the screen on the morning show, so help some of you blind folks out. They're getting back to the chimps. We know canines and other animals mark their territory and are pack animals. It's hardly surprising. Yeah, that's not the point. You have a point, bro. Thank you. Remember, there are literally monkey wars. That is a really fun story and things to dig into. Is the actual territory monkey wars that they go on. Wolves are fascists and racist, and that's why this guy's a wolf. Guess what? Nature is also very hierarchical. That's another one we're going to get more into as we go through some of these. That's true as a species that has divided communities and states, we have the right to have our borders and territories. They're natural for us. That's why I laugh at anarchists. I heard if one here's the one I was getting to. I heard if one wolf crosses over, the other wolves stop him at gunpoint and place him in a detention center for an indefinite amount of time. No, if one wolf crosses over, the other wolves just kill him. And here we go. This is the dumbest straw man of the open borders position. Only idiots claim that people don't naturally congregate in certain areas or tribes. The questions are, should the state define what the lines are, and should we use violence when someone crosses the state's line? The point that I was getting at is that it's human nature that we segregate ourselves, that we congregate with those who we align with. The thing that the state is doing that I have more of a problem with than the borders side of thing is the forced integration and forced segregation by bringing in large numbers of immigrants, by muddying these borders unnaturally. That's the big problem that I have with what's going on in society today. When you see, like, that's not a natural thing. That's not the way human nature is. That's like, you always see the video of like the two little kids, the little black kid and the little white kid, that like take off running down the street to hug each other, and it's really cute. And they say, you know, that these little kids don't see color and blah 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 blah. Have you ever gone to like a public park or like a play area inside of a big public place, like inside of a mall or something, and just sit and watch the way the little kids interact with each other inside of that little area? It's really interesting because usually they tend to self-segregate. And something that was really funny for me going to one of these places with my stepdaughter is that she's mixed. So a lot of the lighter skinned black kids would come approach her. But because our entire household is white, she was more inclined to go play with the white kids. So whenever they talk about that, these like natural hierarchies, the natural borders, the natural segregation, and even a natural inclination towards like people, towards like things, doesn't exist. It's completely insane. Like, it goes against everything that is the very nature of humanity. So, like, I get what this guy's saying. Of course, it's got the ANCAP flag and everything's about the state. And I'm sorry, but where these arguments are being made, it's not all about the state. I get what you're saying, but borders do exist, but at the same time, comparing yourselves with wolves is just low-key hell. We are all animals at our core. You should pay attention to the animal kingdom to understand how certain things work in the human kingdom. Even Mother Nature recognizes the need for border. White wolf, apparently a complete nut bar. The one I was talking about that just like strikes out across through everything. And who knows? Maybe that was one that was towards the end of its life and wandered off to die. Never know. Learn a lot from wolves. There's some. This one was kind of spot on with what you see happening in human society. Let's make them more inclusive and diverse and watch them all fucking die. Like, if you were to take all of these different wolf packs and just jumble them up and stick them together, it would be nonstop fighting. And that's what we see happening really throughout the world. Like, humanity has segregated itself for centuries, for millennia, and now for some reason over the last 40 years or so, there's been this push to homogenize everything, and that's not the way. It's not the way nature works. How look after state borders are introduced. That's see again. This is the thing that like this gets into the state side of thing, and I'm talking about like natural segregation, the way it works, the way these types of things happen in nature. Not. I said nothing about the state anywhere. Men always claim that they've evolved out of the Ooga Booga and that they don't think like apes, but then they use the Ooga Booga to sustain their shallow takes. I have never at any point claimed that we evolved out of the Ooga Booga. I had a very good friend who once said that as a species, we've evolved past the brutality of the Middle Ages and the brutality of the Civil War and the brutality of the two world wars. And I said, we have not. We have not at all. Not even a little bit. Human nature is human nature is human fucking nature. If you go back and you look at the entire existence of man, the things that you see happen in nature with the animals and the animal kingdom are the same things that happen within humanity and the human kingdom. We have not evolved into anything. We are still the exact same fucking primates that we were millions of years ago. Or if you're a young earther, and like we have not evolved as a species. We are not better than that, and we never will be. I don't care what technological advancements come about. We are always going to be the Ooga Booga, and we are going to naturally segregate ourselves, and we are going to have natural borders. We're going to have natural divisions. There's going to be natural hierarchy, and to try to delineate from that, to try to remove that and act like that doesn't exist, is to deny our very nature as a species, and it sets us against what our nature is. And that's why you see so much turmoil. We are not living in our natural state. We are not being the creatures that we are meant to be. We are being forced into this other world that does not compute, that does not align with our base nature. And that's the problem. Like that's what's wrong with society. I like this. This one says, no, but hunting territories, it's not the same thing. I'm fascinated how some people can't see that the things we do are just the basic things animals do, but more complicated. Exactly. Like we are, at our base, we are animals. Well, Mark's work still explain this. Not sure what that's got. Pretty cool. Same with property rights. Bold take, but humans are not wolves. But we really are. I mean, you have a mask in your profile, so I'm not going to really put much weight in anything you have to say. But we really are. But we really are. This one is a good explanation of why these things exist in nature and why it's been perverted that they don't exist as much in human culture, and kind of the reason that we're seeing the blurring of lines, and it's deliberate, obviously. When you transgress a border in nature, there isn't a border patrol or RNLI to escort you to 3 hots and a cot. It's backed up by fangs and claws and a complete absence of due process. Having well-defined and well-defended borders and territories is a very natural thing, and it's the same way for humans. It has been for all of human history. Yes, Trey's commenting as I was reading. We're masking conflict. There's a ton of micro conflict, but not on a macro scale anymore. We're simply more adept at negotiation of conflict than most species. We keep forcing the conflict. And by we, those who are in control of things keep forcing the conflict. They, these wolves, I bet you there aren't a whole lot of conflicts that happen on these territories, because as it says, they do a good job of avoiding and respecting each other's territories. And humans naturally did that for centuries, until it was decided that we needed to have more diversity. We needed to have more homogeny. We needed to do the whole homo globo thing, and everybody needed to get together and create this big melting pot. But we're not. That's not the way humans are. So now we have created more conflict. And sure, we're more adept at conflict negotiation. But at the same time, you still see all across the world where a lot of these different cultures and societies are being lumped in on top of each other unnaturally. There are huge conflicts constantly being broken out. Like maybe we should get back to some of our baser instincts. Nature will never steer you wrong. So this one talks about the territorial imperative. It's an interesting read. Highly recommend that you go check it out, but I'm not getting into that for this. I was just kind of going through stuff. A pack of wolves is the most close-knit group of the animal kingdom, yet they respect each other's boundaries. So tired of people, mostly left-wingers, it seems, that are detached from the reality. Idealism is cool, but who's ideal? Right, we are not ideal. As a species, we are not ideal. We are not, like I said previously, we have not evolved beyond what we were. We are still our baser instinctual human selves from millennia ago, that we're going to kind of establish our borders, establish our segregations, establish our groups. We will lump together naturally, and trying to force that unnaturally is what creates a ton of conflict. Trey says that's what he means by the micro conflict. We have a bunch of internal bickering as opposed to warring tribes now, and when you looked at that kind of stuff, like the warring tribes, like often those were like the warring tribes type things were probably what these wolves would go through to establish their boundaries, or the same as what the chimps go through establishing their boundaries. Like they're not always like long lasting world war type things. They're a couple weeks or months, and new lines are drawn, and then they leave each other alone. Let's see. I don't remember any other particular. Go through some of the comments right quick. This one is, I think this one's kind of shit. The open borders activists have a new champion in Vladimir Putin, who doesn't believe in Ukraine's borders. The thing about that, I would say the thing about that border dispute is that those are unnaturally defined borders that were set by somebody else. If you look at old borders and the things that used to be Russia, that used to be part of the Soviet Union, the way that a lot of those parts of the world identify, even today, it would be like the if the yellow moved in here and took this, and then red decided to take it back. That's kind of what we're seeing happening in Russia. So I do like this when the Bible talks of respecting ancient boundaries. It is not saying we must respect simply physical boundaries, but also respect for our culture, our families, our histories, our beliefs. In short, respect for the inner and outer personal spaces and territories of everything. That's really interesting, because that's the thing that I'm talking about with the blurring of the natural borders and the natural territories and boundaries that we have in human society and culture, is when you start to blur those lines, when you start to force those different segments of society to overlap with each other, and you have this unnatural forced segregation or forced integration that is happening. You are disrespecting cultures, families, histories, beliefs, everything. You're pushing people who should not be together, and you're creating just untold conflict over and over and over again, the world over. I mean, it's something that I've talked about quite a bit. Like, you see it in Sweden, you see it in Germany, you see it in France, you see it in England, you see it all across Europe, where forced integration and forced immigration of Middle Eastern immigrants into large population hubs in these places has created massive amounts of turmoil, massive amounts of strife. We are not meant to coexist like that. If it happens naturally, if people like move into the same area together and find ways to get along, Trey's talking about the shared culture of different people, and it doesn't work functionally. If it can be something that is natural and organic, and those people can come together and get along, then okay, cool. Then that would actually work. But you can't force that. You can't make that happen. It's like mixing water and oil. You can shake it as vigorously as you want to all day long, but at the end of the day, they're going to separate out. And that's the way society is structured. That's the natural hierarchy type stuff that's going on. Trying to see if I can find any others that, borders of the construct we created in lieu of peeing on tree stumps. We're not that much different from other animals, but as advanced tool users, we like to make things complicated so we can pretend we are. So that's all I really had. I just wanted to kind of go through that and look at some of the different comments and give kind of my explanation of what my intent was with the post. I never thought that it would become what it is, but it's kind of blowing up on me, and I had to turn notifications off because it's just too much. I can't keep up with that shit. I don't like notifications anyway, and it's way too many. Appreciate everybody who has followed me on Twitter because of this for some reason. I don't know. I'll get back to refollowing all of you eventually. Appreciate everybody who's liked, retweeted, quote tweeted, commented. It's been really entertaining. It's been really fun. It's been kind of a crazy morning. When I went to bed last night, it had about 250 likes and like seven retweets. I got up this morning and had 7,500. I was like, holy shit. And then it's just kind of kept snowballing from there. But it's entertaining. It is really cool to see the number of people that are tying this back to other things in nature, like the chimps and stuff like that, and making connections. And who knows, maybe I should probably go through and look at some of the quote tweets more in depth and see, because I know there are comments on some of them. Maybe there are conversations being had that people are like hashing this stuff out. And if so, that's really cool. And if not, well, I hope you're having fun with your fighting. I will not be participating in any fighting on Twitter today. I am going to make a brisket, drink some coffee, watch TV, and chill out. Be sure to tune in to the Invictus Mind. I'm not sure when Mike will release the episode, but I'll be doing an interview with Mike Corbell tonight for the Invictus Mind. We're going to talk about Buddy Jesus and the degradation of American Christianity. And then I'm also having that same conversation with Adam Patrick tomorrow afternoon on my own show. I am still banned from YouTube, at least until sometime Sunday afternoon. So I'll start putting stuff back up on YouTube on Monday. But if you want to catch me and Adam tomorrow afternoon at 3 p.m. Eastern time, that'll be on both Twitter and my Facebook. So the same places you're watching this here, you can see that tomorrow live. And if you miss it live tomorrow, that'll be Monday's episode that'll go up as well. So be sure to tune in for all that. I've got several episodes pre-recorded of I'm doing a series of reading different articles that I thought were really interesting. It's just anywhere from 15 to 30-minute solo shows of me taking an article, reading it, breaking it down, talking about what's going on in it. I've had a lot of fun doing those. I'll try not to do that. It's just a straight like 3 or 4 week run of nothing but that. I'll try to set up some interviews in the interim and break that out a little bit. But those are some pretty interesting episodes, at least I thought. So be sure to tune in for all that, and hope everybody has a great rest of your day. Be sure to tune in to Invictus Mind with Mike Corbell, and tune in tomorrow when I talk to Adam Patrick. Thanks, everybody.